Welcome to the analysis section of the case interview preparation program. In this section, you will learn the exact steps you should follow to effectively analyse any data or information you are provided in a case. Initially, it is important to understand what analysis actually is and why it is used. In most cases, analysis refers to the quantitative component of a case interview. This involves calculating one or many figures using specific data provided by the interviewer or taken from a chart. Like most other components of a case, analysis can be used with a case interview or by itself as a single question. Both are used to test you in the same aspect, your quantitative ability. To be able to effectively complete quantitative analysis in any case, you must have a complete understanding of and be proficient in all types of basic math. This includes 1. Addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. 2. Fractions. 3. Decimals. 4. Percentages. Without being competent in all these areas, you will be unable to accurately complete case analysis. Secondly, you must understand and be proficient in business math. Business math used in case interviews is designed to help you reach your objective within the case. Therefore, to effectively make a recommendation, you must understand and be able to solve one or more of the following. 1. Profitability problems. 2. Investment problems. And 3. Operation problems. These types of problems are explained in the case math section of this program. To efficiently solve quantitative analysis questions, you should follow a structured approach. This approach will ensure you consider all data available to you whilst increasing the speed at which you can solve problems. Step 1 is to clarify the scope of the analysis. To do so, there are 4 factors which you must understand. 1. Know what your objective is. 2. Know what metrics or units you are working with. 3. Know what information you have available to you. And 4. Infer what information you may be missing and ask for all that information. Once you have a clear understanding of the question and the data it is using, you should then look to create a structure to solve your problem. In other words, what formulas will you use and in what order will you use them? After you have created your structure, you should then present the structure to your interviewer to provide them an overview of how you plan to solve this analysis. Providing them an overview will also allow them to understand how you will solve the problem and confirm whether or not you are doing the right thing before you start your calculations. Step 3 is to round the numbers you are going to use in your calculations. To do so, you should ask the interviewer if you can round numbers, and if so, confirm they are happy with the numbers you are rounding them to. By rounding the numbers, you will be able to complete your calculations faster and with more accuracy. When rounding your numbers, you can employ 1 or 2 strategies. 1. Full rounding. This is when you round all the numbers you will use within the case. Or 2. Intermittent rounding. This is where you only round numbers which have decimal points to be whole round numbers. Regardless of which method you use, ensure you stay consistent with it throughout your calculations and that you inform the interviewer every time you round a number. Step 4 is to simplify your math by using abbreviated numbers. Abbreviating your numbers will allow you to keep track of large numbers, reducing the possibility that you make a careless error. So, for example, instead of writing 300 billion using 11 zeros, you should display it as 300B. Similarly, if you are writing 300 million, you should display it as 300M rather than with 8 zeros. Step 5 is to complete your calculations. When you are completing your calculations, you should communicate each and every step as you do it. This will allow the interviewer to follow along with your calculations. Once you have completed your calculations and arrived at a final number, you should run a quick sense check on your answer. You should question if the number is too big or too small given the inputs you have used. If you believe the number is incorrect, you should review your calculations to see where you may have made an error. It is not a large issue if you have made an error. Simply let the interviewer know you have run a review on your calculations, identified where you went wrong, and will now recalculate the answer. This will show a level of composure and leadership that many candidates do not have. Once you are confident of your answer, you must explain the implications of the case and then progress the case. When discussing what the implications are, ensure you state if this backs up or opposes your initial hypothesis, and how the outcome influences the case objective. Now you understand the steps to take to efficiently complete quantitative analysis. Let's complete a sample analysis together. For this example, we will continue to use our sample case on BluePark. If you cannot remember the case, pause the video now and read the prompt. The analysis will be based on the following. Your team has decided it will be more feasible to train existing staff than to employ new staff across the 100+ locations. They are deciding between two options, an external training or an internal training day. Which training day should BluePark pursue? The following information would likely be withheld until it is asked for, but for the sake of this example, we will use the following information. External training, fixed costs $35,000, variable costs $14.99 per person. Internal training per state, fixed costs $10,000, training wages $19.99 per hour, 2 trainers required for 10 hours. Assume 100 stores and 6 employees per store. The first step in our analysis is to understand the scope of the problem and ensure we have all the relevant data we require. This analysis will use 1. Dollars as the units, 2. 100 locations across 50 states with 6 employees per store, and 3. The information given in the analysis prompt regarding fixed and variable costs. Step 2 is to structure your problem. In this example, we will complete a cost analysis to determine which method is the most effective for BluePark. To do so, we will use the formula of total costs equals fixed costs plus variable costs. In this problem, there are only 2 numbers that we should round. Therefore, we are using the intermittent rounding technique. So, in this example, we will round $14.99 to $15 and $19.99 to $20. Next, we will simplify the figures we will use within our calculations. From the analysis prompt, we can see there are fixed costs of $35,000 and $10,000 for the external and internal training days, respectively. We will display these numbers as $35K and $10K, respectively. We will now complete the calculations. Our first calculation is to determine the total number of employees BluePark has. Our second calculation is to determine the total costs associated with the external training day. As you can see here, total costs for this are $44K. Our third calculation is to determine the total costs associated with the internal training day. As you can see here, total costs for this are $30K. Therefore, it is $14K more cost-effective to use the internal training day to upskill existing employees. In this example, given the calculations are correct, the answer makes logical sense. Therefore, we do not need to recalculate this figure. Now that we have calculated the final answer, we need to explain what the implications on the case are and progress the case itself. Given the $14,000 difference in total costs associated with the internal training day relative to the external training day, it is more feasible to train the staff internally. This will reduce total costs, and assuming that there is no significant difference in time to train employees using the 2 methods, it will help us reach our objective of boosting revenue in the short term. We suggest BluePark now looks to organise the logistics associated with hiring trainers and organising training days for each state.